Hey guys, Cole here. Welcome back to another Raid Shadow Legends video with the test server today, because we're gonna have a new patch with new champions and some changes to the game. The patch will be the one for the Fragment Collection event to get the Dreg character. I will not be going over the characters right now. I'm just gonna be showcasing the new champions and some of the changes, such as the vault changes and the hex changes, through this video. So getting started, let's just have a look at the hex changes, which is the most important thing we want to be testing out. I will do a more detailed video on the hex maybe later on, just to see what it actually does. But very quickly, let's just go into Dragon 20 and just see the hex in action. So what the hex change is that if there's an enemy with a hex debuff on the enemy team and you hit one ally, that enemy with the hex will receive 10% of that damage if it was a single target attack, or 2% of that damage if it was an AoE attack. So what it means is that this hex target right there will receive damage now when I hit, let's say, Apothecary right there, by 10% of what I'll do in terms of damage. So you'll see the attacks going on there on both Warcaster and this dude right there. Once I go ahead with Arbiter, you see 173 for 24. That was 10% of the crit that my Arbiter did. So very similarly, if I do, let's say, the big AoE, now we won't be able to see that, it's going to be too fast, but let's do the A1 and look at that. 2000, 1700, and then 410. That was because of the hex that was there. So already it has some good uses in terms of just added damage on targets that do have the hex. I think it's going to be more noticeable in let's say the Hydra, or if you do like a proper hex team where you apply lots of hexes before an enemy goes to attack. Right, next up is the vault. Okay, the vault now has this reserve vault as well, and just to showcase, I've recorded every single bit of the upgrades needed for the vault. That's why it says 290. The maximum is 300, just to compare to max out the master vault, which has now become our normal vault that we got used to so many years now. So this one needs 720 gems or 20 million silver to get the final 10 slots. And the reserve vault, by the way, it says it needs 10 million or 576 gems. But Plarium did say, they did send us a message, and they did say that the gem cost actually now is lower than that. It's not 500, it's actually going to be 376. So I made a total sum of all the gems that it will be in terms of the cost to upgrade the full thing for 300 slots, and that's 4,536 gems. Or if you want to make that into spider energy, I made a small calculation. I did the gems divided by 40 times 130 to get how much energy that is in gems. So 7,000 gems, let's say, or something like that. Or no, this actually should have been, yeah, 4,536 gems in total needed, times the energy. That's almost 15,000 energy. That's about 44 million silver that you can farm through Spider 25 with that amount of gems. So consider that when you do the upgrades, it's very, very expensive to do so. The first 10 levels or so have a total cost of 400 gems, which is very low to compare with anything else. But then the cost just jumps to 1,244 gems. Then the cost for the final 100 slots is gonna be 2,860 gems. So cost really goes up with how many slots you want to open, but you really don't need all the reserve slots. I wouldn't say you need them unless you have a big amount of requirement for those dupes to go in there. And let's say you want to use a champion and throw it in there, it's gonna tell you this thing right here. So let me try and put this one in the reserve vault. It says you either destroy the gear that she has on already or just remove it. If I click remove, she's now gone into the reserve vault with no gear on. Everything was removed at a cost though. It would have been amazing if the cost was 0, but obviously you know, we're used to Plarium not doing that. So you can either then transfer it back to the collection or to the master vault, and that's it in terms of those changes. The other changes is, of course, the new heroes. So let's get started with the new champions added to the game, and I think we can look at them right here. Look at this guy first, Gofred Brass Clad. This one is a defense legendary dwarf. champion. Look at this guy. He looks so good. I love how this guy looks, and I will be doing more detailed videos with the actual you know, gameplay of these champions. So he has this A1 meat punishment, attacks one enemy 2 times. First hit has a 50% chance of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. The second hit has a 50% chance of placing a provoke debuff for 1 turn. Solid A1, not amazing honestly, but it does apply both the decreased defense and a provoke, which are useful. Concuss is his A2, which is a stun on all targets. Very solid at a 3-turn cooldown with a 100% chance. And then increased defense buff on all allies. Removes any decreased defense and weaken debuffs from all allies. That's not very usual to see on your allies, to be fair. And then he also has a passive. Whenever an ally is attacked while under a block damage buff placed by this champion, has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. That is very good. This goes to 100% chance to stun the attacker when you have a block damage buff on an ally, which I'm guessing he applies through the active effect, which has a 4-turn cooldown, by the way. If an ally is about to get killed by a fatal hit, blocks incoming damage and places a block damage buff on them for 1 turn. That is very good to just stop one of your allies from dying. That's a 4-turn cooldown. It's a passive, so this cannot be reduced by stuff like Prince Kymar. So have that in mind when you're looking at champions like these. So that being said, Brassclad skill overall is what makes this guy special. Gofred, he's a cool dwarf, but definitely not a game changer. I would say that the block damage is nice as a niche way to put this guy on defense, but the block damage can of course be stopped by stuff like what's that dude called, the void epic that nukes. Wow. The Shadow King one, let me just go. This guy right here who removes buffs. Genbo can actually remove it, decreasing duration of all buffs by 1 turn when he attacks an enemy. So he'll reduce the block damage by 1 turn and basically remove it and kill the enemy. So that's pretty good. So have a look at the next one, and that's going to be Shemnath. Shemnath, a Knight Revenant, legendary attack-based champion. Magic affinity this time. Looks like Lady Liberty, whatever it's called, the Statue of Liberty that the Americans have over there in New York, right? She looks very, very cool though. Looks like a statue. I love this. I love this so much. Wow, I just realized this is just amazing. All right, Shemnath. Bring to Ruin, attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 30% chance of placing a decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. All right, nothing special. Caryatid's Curse. So Caryatid's, that actually it's a Greek word, not Caryatid like how I pronounced it, but it is from a Greek word. But anyway, that's what they called the female statues back in ancient Greece. Anyway, transfers all debuffs from this champion to a target enemy, then attacks that enemy 3 times. Wow. First hit increases the duration of all debuffs. Second hit decreases the duration of all buffs. Also increases the duration of all buffs on this champion by 1 turn after attacking. So overall, an amazing skill with a 3-turn cooldown. I like this, especially the transfer of debuffs, which to transfer you'll need accuracy, so you will need to build her with accuracy. But I just love the design again. Wow. So amazed by this one. I want this legendary regardless of how good it is. Attacks all enemies 2 times. The first hit removes all buffs. The second hit will ignore 20% of the target's defense against targets that have no active buffs. Wow, this is looking very strong with a 3-turn cooldown, a big AoE hit. I'm guessing, I don't have the multipliers, but that's gonna be nice. Increases champion's accuracy by 10 for each buff on each enemy. Nice. Increase the champion's critical damage by 5% for each debuff on each enemy. Very easy thing to stack on 5 targets, 2 debuffs each, right? No, you need 4 debuffs each on 5 targets to get the full benefit. Oh, that's a lot of debuffs actually. That's not going to be very easy to get the full benefit, but still. She can work well with a Calvalax. He applies 4 poisons at the start of the turn. That's 4 times 5. That's an amazing boost to her crit damage. But I mean, if you use a Calvalax, why would you use her? It doesn't make sense, right? Because you're gonna use like something to blow up the poisons. overall, love this champion. I want to see her actual stats. So we'll see that soon in another video. Hefrak is another cool demon spawn attack phase legendary champion. Let's have a look at this guy. I think this is the one that I saw that has an amazing A2 skill. Attacks one enemy, extra hit if the attack is critical. Alright, very basic for a nuker. Attacks all enemies, place an extra hit on targets with less than 50% HP after the first hit. That's gonna be an easy thing to do, especially with the defense down on the enemies. So double hitting, each hit will ignore 15% of the target's defense. That's amazing. That's almost like a savage set, by the way. So already so good. Megalomania is the A3. Increase attack buff, increase critical rate buff on this champion for 3 turns, then grants an extra turn. Wow. Okay, so you do this, then you do this, and then you burst them down. Hefrax, so good. And whenever an ally is killed, instantly activates the Hefrax scoring skill. So this A2 will not put the skill on cooldown. Amazing. If there are multiple champions on the team with this skill, only one will activate 4-turn cooldown on this passive. So basically use it once in an arena fight, let's say. Not gonna be so easy to activate just because of that long cooldown that it has. You won't be activating it like crazy, but you better be certain that this will be very strong. You can use this actually against the Hegemon, and you actually have this guy. You have the Hegemon attack, and you have one HP ally in your team. That's gonna kill your ally, the Hegemon attack, and this dude will instantly activate Hefrax Scorn, and in that way kill pretty much the enemy team. Wow, I want to go test it right now, but we have to go over the other champions. Let's go over Truath. Truath, such a good looking champion. Dark Elves. Let's have a look at the skills. Looks like a female version of Ultimate Kill, to be honest. Looks like she was going to be like a partner of Kill. Anyway, Staff of Life Trip attacks one enemy, heals the champion by 5% of their max HP. Heals the champion by 10% of their max HP instead if they have 50% or less. Wow, great heals on herself. Attacks all enemies, plays a perfect veil on all allies except the champion for 2 turns. So lots of protection there. Also plays a counterattack buff and a 25% strengthen buff on this champion for 2 turns. Very strong skill, especially because it starts with an AoE attack and then it does the perfect veil, the counterattack, the strengthen. All this protects this champion plus your allies, plus the lots of the heals that you will be getting. This champion will be very hard to drop to low amounts of health. So heals a target ally by 20% of this champion's max HP, then balances the HP of all allies. The HP levels of all allies will be brought up to the level of the ally with the highest HP. Okay, just an equalizer. After balancing, place a 50% ally protection buff on the initial target. So on one person, unfortunately. And then Transmute Pain decreases the cooldown of the Animus Infusion, so the equalizer plus the ally protection, by 1 turn for every 10% of HP this champion loses. Wow, so you can be rotating through this A3 quite quickly. That's why it doesn't have a reduced cooldown. It's a very solid heal plus an equalizer. This means you'll be topping off all of your team with this this legendary. Wow, I'm excited by these legendaries so far. Not a single one is Jingwon level, to be honest. And we also have the rebalancing of Jingwon in this patch, right? I won't go through that. So Walking Tome, Drang, this is the guy that will be featured through the fusion. Just have a look at this guy on his back. I didn't know this was on his back, but when I saw it, this was so funny. But yeah, it's the HP Burn guy with the HP Burn activation. We'll do a showcase soon. I have him equipped with gear already. I'm ready to record this right after I finish this video. So Keira the Watcher, a dwarf defense-based legendary spirit champion. Falling Star, Crush, decrease attack debuff for 2 turns. Very solid A1. Love it. Actually, a very high chance, 70% chance. And then A2 attacks all enemies. 75% goes to 100 to decrease the duration of all buffs by 1 turn on enemies. Also has a 75% chance of placing the decreased accuracy debuff. Love the decreased accuracy. Love the cooldown. That's 3 turns only. Coordinated defense places a 50% ally protection on all allies except this champion. Also places a 60% increased defense buff on all allies for 2 turns. Very solid. 3-turn cooldown. Nice for clan boss. Always. But now with the clan boss, with all the block damage teams and everything, you don't really need these mechanics anymore. Whenever an ally is attacked while under an ally protection buff, places a 50% decreased attack debuff on the attacker for 1 turn. That's almost like a Krisk, by the way, because you're going to have the ally protection. You're going to get the big hits. The decreased attack will be applied. She's going to be great in clan boss teams. She's going to enable you so much to do so much more damage because of all this protection. She is a game changer for sure. For sure. All right, let's see Ragash. Ragash is a defensive based legendary spirit nuker, by the way, that I saw his skills. So increased defense buff on this champion for 2 turns when he attacks with his A1, damage based on defense. And then A2, Fur Typhoon, attacks all enemies, 75% chance of placing a 60% decreased attack defense debuff on each enemy for 2 turns before attacking. So he needs accuracy to apply the decreased defense and then he'll attack. That's a big burst of damage, by the way. Also has a 75% chance of placing a stun debuff for 1 turn after attacking. This goes to 100%. So not only you decrease defense, you attack them, okay? You're a defensive based nuker, so you're already annoying because you will not be so squishy. And then you also stun because you will have a lot of accuracy. So wow, I love this. Love this. Okay. Fleetness, place a 25% strengthen buff and a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. Also places a perfect veil buff on this champion for 2 turns. Very solid as well. The strengthen, the increased speed, the perfect veil, all of these together. Wow. If this would give an extra turn also. This is like a different version of what Cadraphone has. But Cadraphone, yeah, he gets an increased attack, increased crit damage. This one gets a strengthen, a speed, a perfect veil. And then Art of Stealth. At the start of each turn, place a perfect veil buff for 1 turn on the ally with the highest attack. Okay, inflicts 20% more damage against targets whose defense is lower than this champion's defense. So he actually can protect your team with this one, with the perfect veil. You will not be building this guy with attack, but let's say you run 2 attackers. Well, 2 nukers. You're gonna run, let's say, a Trunda in this one, which is not usually the case. Or anyway, you're going to use this guy and he will place the perfect veil anyway on one of your allies. But that's very good. That's a very good skill. I like it. And then he also has an aura for ally defense by 30% for all battles. That is pretty good, right? That is pretty good. Right, final one in this showcase of 8 champions. We didn't cover the one needed for the fusion. We got this dude right here, Lizardman. Look at this, all of the bags on his back. So Necrothar is a support legendary champion. Looks good, by the way. Looks very good. Look at all the big ass sword. So Steel Melt Acid is his A1, attacks all enemies. 40% chance of placing a 50% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. The chance increases to 75% against targets under debuffs. Okay. And then A2 Planar Chains attacks all enemies. 75% chance of placing a 30% decreased speed debuff and a leech debuff for 2 turns. This goes to 100% for the decreased speed, and the leech goes to a good for that's another 55% chance. That's okay. So decreased attack as an AoE, by the way. Decreased speed and leech. And then the A3 places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns and fills the turn meters by 30%, then grants his champion an extra turn. Oh, okay, so he speed boosts, he fills the turn meter, he gains an extra turn, and then he does this, which also decreases the speed, and he does a leech. Big thing here. Big thing here. And let's say you have him with a provoke set or a stun set, that's going to be big for controlling. Rune of Haste fills this champion's turn meter by 5% each time a debuff on an enemy is removed, transferred, or expires. That is good, but it's not that amazing for like a champion that goes first, right? And then 19% ally speed in battles boost through his aura. So Overall, good one. I would say he's the least amazing out of the 8 champions that we have new coming into this patch. Of course, one of them is the Fragment Collection Fusion, whatever you want to call it, Fragment Collection event. But the one I'm most excited for is, I would say, Hefrag. This guy that does this A2 skill when an ally dies. I'm excited about the other one. What's she called? This one, the statue-looking one. Yeah, Shemnath. The name doesn't make sense though, because it's... I thought she would have more like a Greek name because it's a statue. But anyway, this was the video, guys. We went over the champions that will actually be doing showcases, and might also do like a live stream as well, just to show them once we're able to. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.